Mr. Lewison.
So this bill is a step forward in Singapore's progress towards digitalization. This bill will adopt with modifications the ancestral model law on electronic transferable records. This allows the recognition of electronic records of trade documents at international ports and supports our digitalization efforts. I have three clarifications on the bill and on Singapore's efforts to move towards electronization. My first point is on the effectiveness of national digitalization in international trade with other countries at varying stages of digitalization. Any single transaction in international trade is likely to involve multiple parties in various jurisdictions. It will be important for all parties involved to be certain that electronic documents will be legally valid and enforceable in jurisdictions where the documents may be needed to be enforced. The reality, as Minister pointed, is that the ancestral model law on electronic transferable records has only been adopted by Bahrain. While Singapore's adoption of the model law will make Singapore one of the first mover countries, the current low rate of uptake may mean that electronic trade documents recognized in Singapore may not similarly be recognized abroad. Minister had addressed this point earlier, but could I ask whether we're working with other countries to provide assurances that electronic trade documents will similarly receive recognition abroad? My second point is on electronically signed deeds. During the circuit breaker period, electronic execution of contracts became much more common practice. However, deeds remain one category of documents where it is unclear if electronic signatures may be accepted. Lawyers generally advise against signing deeds using electronic signatures because of the risk that deeds governed by Singapore law or signed in Singapore may not be enforceable if signed using electronic signatures. Can Minister clarify if deeds signed using electronic signatures which comply with all other formalities required for deeds are enforceable? Lastly, the explanatory statement to the bill makes clear that the adoption of the model law and the inclusion of trade documents under the Electronic Transactions Act is part of a wider initiative by the government to support the electronization of documents and transactions. As part of IMDA's consultation in 2019, IMDA proposed removing the exclusion of lasting power of attorneys. In other words, it is proposed that electronic lasting powers of attorney should be allowed. The bill explains that these other transactions, such as LPAs, will be deleted when the legislative and administrative frameworks supporting electronization are ready to be implemented. I understand that an Office of the Public Guardian online electronic system is in the works to allow LPAs to be registered electronically. Can Minister share how it is working with MSF to ensure that the needs of the elderly are taken into account when rolling out the electronic system? We need to consider that they may not be familiar or comfortable with such a system. While LPAs are of course not only for elderlies, they are a significant population that will make use of this instrument. We should ensure that any electronic system caters to their needs. So notwithstanding these clarifications, I stand in support of the bill.